Yeah, I think three of our next four are non-conference games. So I look at them as kind of bonus points. You know, it's important in those crossover games that you get, as many three-pointers as you can. Um, there's not that in-conference worry of holding points or giving points to your conference opponent. So you need to go for the win. Draws don't help you a ton, and we're at home, and we're coming off two losses at home against good teams, obviously. So we have to keep it in perspective. With Colorado, like every team, they're capable. They've got a good coach. Chris will have his group ready, like he always does. It'll be a challenge. They're an honest team. They press really well. They counter really well. They're good on set pieces. Halovich is one of the top players in the league, real handful, and they're coming off a big win against LA Galaxy.
Not a lot of time on the training ground, but that's something you've kind of been used to this year. But what were sort of the major takeaways for you on Wednesday that you tried to take into the short turnaround you had here against Colorado?
Yeah, I think the big thing is making sure we look backwards quickly, see what we didn't like, and then figure out how to change it. And sometimes the best way to change it is tactical tweaks. Sometimes the best way to change it is personnel. So we've talked about that. We've looked at that. We need to have hunger. We need to have, if we can, fresh legs. So there'll be some rotation, like always. So how much, is it two guys? Is it, three, four? I think those are the main decisions in these windows.
And how much is that sort of the primary focus for the coaching staff when you talked about it earlier in the week? You're playing 7 games in 25 days. There's going to be a lot of midweek matches, probably a lot of rotation. So when you only have a couple of days to figure things out, how much is that sort of the focus for the coaching staff, figuring out what do we change?
Yeah, I think you can't change too much in terms of what's worked for you. And we have been in a good run. Obviously, we just lost to two very good teams by a tight margin. So there's not a lot that needs to change, but we definitely, it definitely seems like some changes. When I look at kind of early in the year when we were plateauing a little bit, adjustments helped us, and I think we're in a teeny bit of a plateau here over the last couple games, where maybe we can take it up a notch again with a few adjustments.
Yeah, with that said, I'll go a little bit bigger picture. You are at officially the halfway point of the regular season schedule at this point, and with so many new faces, now you knew this year was going to be a process. So what kind of progress have you seen in this group since February, and where does it sort of leave you with the work that still needs to be done in the second half?
Yeah, big progress. We haven't quite, in my opinion, put ourselves in the upper echelon, proven we can beat. When you look at our losses, they've been against the best teams, the Phillies, the Cincinnatis, the Nashvilles. We need to prove we can beat those teams, but I think we've been very consistent in playing the other teams and getting results and being in every game, and even these last two were there. I want to see us make that next step, but I'm very pleased with the progress. And the good news is this last game, everybody else in around us lost, so we didn't gain any ground, which is disappointing. But we didn't lose any ground. We still got our games in hand. So if we get this result, which it won't be easy, we're right back in the race in a great spot and probably over the red line.
And in terms of making personnel decisions, how helpful is it as a staff when you're getting Leo back in the mix, you're getting Luka back in the mix, you are at least getting some of, especially those attacking options back off the bench?
Yeah, that's huge. Obviously when we won 4 in a row, we had a pretty consistent lineup. I think we played the same lineup every single game in those 4. That's a big part of winning, and then we lost a few guys to injuries, and we didn't have that consistency, which led to some good results and then some not so good results. So we need to get back to a consistent, lineup where we have chemistry, where we have cohesion. That's always the best recipe for continued success.
And I also just want to turn the attention to you really quickly, because Wednesday night was your 400th game at the professional level. I know you've coached many more than 400 games when you include college and national team. But when you think back to the Caleb Porter who coached that first game in Portland, how have you evolved as a coach over 12 years, and how much do you continue to evolve really every time you come out on the training ground?
Yeah, um, haven't thought a ton about it. Obviously, someone told me it was 400. I thought, wow, it's a lot of games, a lot of scar tissue. A lot of good moments, some ups and downs for sure, and some. I'll probably remember my losses more than my wins, but it's just the way I'm wired. But a lot of enjoyment, really, just coaching the players, and I'm enjoying this year a lot. This group, I believe in this group. I feel like we have a great opportunity this year to do something, but we need to make this kind of next jump. I've tried to evolve, much different than I was when I first started, but also there's a lot of things I'm the same, completely the same. Still competitive, obviously, still hate losing, and still get mad at the referees, and still passionate about the game and passionate about the players, developing the players, serving the players, helping the players, and passionate about winning. And so I want this year to be a great year, because in the end, who cares about 400? We lost the game. Doesn't mean anything. I'll never remember 400. We lost the game, and I'll never remember this year unless we do something this year special.